Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings. Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations, a weekly podcast from Practical E-Commerce, hosted by entrepreneur Eric Bandholz.
What is going on, Internet? Eric Bandholz back again with another E-Commerce Conversations. Hope all is going well on the other side of the Internet. On the other side of the Internet from me, Jonathan. Welcome.
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, excited to have you on and excited about this conversation we're about to have. Why don't you give our listeners a quick rundown of who the hell you are?
Yeah, sure. My name's Jonathan Geller. I have been in consumer tech and marketing since I was like 4 years old. I started a site called BGR in 2006, ended up getting acquired by Penske Media, one of the largest media businesses out there. And I've been running that ever since. And that's morphed into probably 5 or 6 different things, but that's like a high level sheet.
So Penske Media is, probably a brand most people don't know of, but the media companies they own, you've certainly heard of them. Obviously, you're associated with BGR. What are some of the other brands in the Penske space?
Yeah, they are just this constellation of iconic, brands and businesses that span from, Variety to Rolling Stone to Robb Report, South by Southwest, Golden Globes, New Year's Eve, Dick Clark Productions, Billboard, a ton more. So really, like I said, constellation of just these amazing brands that they're able to run and scale and build, and truly an impressive organization.
You sold to them and you stuck around. Tell me about like that decision, because normally that's not very common with entrepreneurs.
Yeah, no, I definitely think unusual, right? Like I've been doing this since 2006. They ended up acquiring the business in 2010, and I'm still running it now, 14 years later, with them as a partner, and they've been really incredible partners. And honestly, looking back, it's a huge decision, right? Like you sell your business, and for me, it wasn't just an exit; it was sell your business and come on board and let's run this together and build it and grow it. And they've been just incredible partners. The amount of ways I think that we've been able to work together, with the ever-changing media landscape has been really incredible for me to see. And I'm having fun, having a really great time.
I can't imagine a more difficult business to be in. E-commerce is pretty hard, but like it seems like media is getting slaughtered right now. No offense. Like it's a very dynamic industry. Am I right?
No, man, look, everyone's feeling it, right? And you said it. So media in general as a category has always been, insanely hard. I think what's been really challenging to a lot of digital publishers, and look, my business specifically is really a digital business. It's a website that's monetized through ads and through affiliate revenue. But it's primarily this digital property, and a lot of these other businesses in the portfolio, have other legs, right? They're heavy in events, they're heavy in subscriptions, they're heavy. Some are still heavy in print, licensing. We tap into a little bit of that, but it's really digital. So for us, yes, looking at the landscape now over the last 24 months and just seeing the amount of change there that's happened is easily, 10x probably the prior 10 years. So we're in this age of AI, we're in this age of spammy, low quality content about trust and authority. So it's insanely challenging. And I think the craziest thing to me is that, and like always, but really specifically, no one has any idea what it looks like in the future, right? The CEO of Google, Sundar Pichai, has no idea what this looks like 2 years from now. CEO of Microsoft, no idea. OpenAI, no idea. Everyone can make guesses, but no one actually understands where that puck actually is going to be. So you're left in the interim trying to make best assumptions and forecasts. But again, you're in this sea of water that's going up and down that you're just trying to kind of navigate.
Yeah, so you're in the sea of uncertainty. You don't know what the future looks like. But at the end of the day, as a leader of an organization, you have to make strategic decisions and kind of, for lack of better terms, just guess what's going to happen. What do you see as the future in this industry, and in particular, like how to respond to AI and the changes in search for the next, I don't know, 2 to 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that we're going to settle down. We've been through this really turbulent period. Um, AI, literally went from zero, relatively speaking, to 100 overnight, and everyone has kind of been throwing things against the wall to see what sticks, to see what rings true to people, what people engage with, and that's starting to simmer down, so to speak, a little bit. So I think search specifically is going to normalize a little bit. Um, as far as what AI does to it, it's this really interesting dynamic where you have Google, which everyone, most people have regarded as the preeminent best technology company in Silicon Valley for a decade, right? I mean, it's everything that they've done is incredible if you look at the products and the services. And they're in a moment in time now where they're having so much difficulty because over the last 18 months, it's been so easy and so cheap to throw up so much content that's AI generated that you have a lot of black hat SEOs and people that are trying to take advantage of the algorithm, throwing up content, standing up sites, and they're ranking for it. Like they're getting traffic, they're monetizing it, they're making money. So there's this cat and mouse game that's now like amplified, I think, from Google's perspective. And we're seeing them starting to be able to wade through that. There was this update, a core update about, 2 weeks ago, really big one that's starting to kind of reset a lot of the playing field, hopefully in a good way. But then, yeah, like looking out over the next couple of years, what I would say is this. I would say understanding your brand first, having, any sort of branded search is probably the most important thing you could do. Not only because you have customers that know you, they're in market that want to go to you directly, but that's also going to send a lot of quality signals to Google saying, look, there are people searching for this brand. This is an authoritative brand. It satisfies search intent. People want to come here and purchase. So I think brand first, really, really important for the future. And then I'd say like low hanging fruit kind of things, like really short, quick bites of information that can be easily answered by AI or a featured snippet on Google. A lot of those things go away. So if you're an e-commerce brand right now and you're throwing up blog posts because you think you can rank for, best rain boots for the spring as this kind of evergreen long tail keyword, you might not have that opportunity in the future. That might switch to something even longer tail or more niche. And I think that kind of is something a lot of publishers and sites are digesting and figuring out the best way forward for.
Yeah, I mean, like when I look at this, I see a point in time where I am like you. I don't know what's going to happen. And everything I know about like search, I don't even know if search is going to make it. Is like, are consumer habits just going to change where you just, instead of going to google.com, you go to ChatGPT and you say, hey, what is the best pair of rain boots? And ChatGPT tells me. And I'm like, okay, well, I trust that. Let's go buy them. Like, is that going to be the world that comes to us in the future? And then like as a business, how do you get your product listed in AI? I don't know. Like,
That's a really great point. I mean, so what I would say to that is there is going to be, to me, more of this discovery aspect of it, right? Like once the systems are smarter and they're very smart now. So I think you're going to start to be presented with more content it thinks you'll like. So it's a little bit more passive. I don't know if search actually fundamentally changes insofar as I do think consumers and people want to know where information comes from ultimately for important decisions, at least. I think attribution sourcing is really important. And we're not seeing that with any of the models today outside of maybe Perplexity, which is an awesome startup, raised a ton of money, really competing with, I'd say, Bing and Google on the search and information aspect of it. So you go to ChatGPT now, you're not getting sources, right? And you're getting information that's 30 to 40% probably wrong. And I think that's the biggest thing that has to be solved, is that search fundamentally is not the same as like a large language model in terms of the accuracy and the information it's giving you. It's meant for a different purpose. So I think they're two different things. If we're talking about the interface, maybe, but I don't know. I still don't see a ton of consumers going to this empty, soulless chat interface and just typing. For some reason, I have a hard time getting there today, but maybe in the future, with some other interface or window into it.
Yeah, I mean, like maybe it's not always this conversation, but I feel like I've been using Grok as well, which at the bottom of your prompt or whatever, it gives you relevant tweets. So it allows you to kind of explore X a little bit more, deeper into it, where, like ChatGPT doesn't quite do that. So it's like, we're certainly in this like transitionary period where, I don't know. Like, I feel like Google is really lost right now from my perspective. And as a business, trying to compete on Google is incredibly difficult because it's like 10 links now are all sponsored or snippets or Google stuff. So it's like almost impossible like to do organic search anymore. Like, is that forever gone then? And it's just a pay to play space?
I mean, I think on the publisher side, we're seeing 100% of the same thing, right? So, like I said, like we mentioned, like all the real estate now is definitely more advertising focused. It's to juice Google's earnings and their bottom line. So the optimistic part of me wants to say that this will reset a little bit. They've made some search changes. They just swapped out their head of search now with someone else. And the previous person there came from the ad side. And I think that's one of the reasons why we've seen a lot of those changes happen. So hopefully this does become more organic centric in a way. But no, I think the direction is broad and it's pay to play, right? So it's those two things, I think, being balanced with organic. But at the same time, it's important, like, to understand where your traffic comes from and what those vessels, so to speak, are. So from like a publisher perspective, Google has been a huge driver for publishers' traffic for a long time, but so has Facebook, and so has Pinterest and Flipboard and Newsbreak and Smart News and some of these platforms that maybe you or some listeners might not have heard of, but they can offer scale and traffic. So I think the way that I look at it is, if it's not Google, there's probably an alternative at some point that has the scale in terms of like a platform that can drive significant traffic. I don't know what that is today, but the shifts are very quick. Like Facebook News is a product that Facebook got into in 2019, I want to say, in a major way, a huge investment. Then we had the Trump election, and Zuckerberg's like, why the hell do I want to deal with news at this point, right? Like, why do I want to deal with this shit? Gone from news, like overnight, gone. A ton of traffic, though, to publishers evaporated just from that. So I think over time, there's other things that start to replace this. But in the short term, I would say that, yeah, organic is very challenged on Google.
Yeah, I mean, and I think about it from a D2C space, because we've invested heavily in organic content on our blogs. We have thousands of articles, long tail, super in depth. And, we've seen the decline in organic. And, for me, in my 12th year, I'm like, is it even worth investing in organic content anymore? And I don't know if it is. So how do you, and I would imagine like you in your space as a publisher, that's got to be really tricky, really hard to deal with if it gets so hard to get traffic to your website organically. And this is more of a jest to Google, but it's like Google search is so bad right now that they only show ads because they know the results are bad. It's like, um,
It's definitely declined. No, I mean, look, it's a great point. I would say, looking at it from a D2C perspective, those strategies of standing up just content because you believe you're going to rank for it, I think I wouldn't say is over. I would say is diminished. But I do think that can be refocused. I think that, look, if you're publishing content that you feel like speaks to your audience and to your customers in an authentic way, like publish that all day long and optimize it in the process. Like make that part of your strategy, 100%. But I would say, yeah, like just looking at, SEMrush or Ahrefs and saying like, look, this keyword difficulty is X and I can rank for this if I make these sub pages. It's definitely a much harder strategy. The other thing that's interesting to me, though, I'd love to hear from you on is it does seem like with the last couple core updates that instead of the organic traffic coming to maybe your blog post, a lot of the e-com traffic has been beefed up for brands. Like, have you seen more traffic organically to a product page in the last year or two versus a blog, or not so much?
like I haven't dug into my analytics anytime recently, but based on my post-purchase survey, like search is effectively like nothing for us. So, and to be fair, we don't advertise on Google, so it is 100% organic. So people are not finding out about our brand through search. Historically, like, 8 to 10 years ago when we launched, we were ranking number 1 or 2 for keywords, beard oil in particular. And this was before all the snippets and stuff like that. And it did drive pretty good revenue for us in those days. But I don't think we're really seeing any of that relative to, 5 to 10 years ago. What was interesting, what you just mentioned, I would say also to kind of add on, think about and this is for our listeners, but think about your email flows in those campaigns. And in the email, you can't be overwhelming them with too much content. So you get like a hook in your email, and then you drive them to that long form content that's on your blog. And like that is where the value of organic and long form. And then if anything ever changes with Google, you'll have that to be able to rank. But, at the end of the day, like that's how you need to start thinking about your content, is what I'm hearing from you.
Yeah, and I think the last 2 to 3 years has been a wake up call, not just for D2C, or ecom, but for everybody. And it's, look, at the end of the day, I cannot be platform or channel reliant on one platform, right? I need to own that first party relationship with my customers so I can direct message them. I can send them whatever I want without going through an intermediary. And to me, that's been a huge takeaway from, I think, what's happened. And you're right, like whatever organically you're doing can transfer into organic traffic, I think, much easier sometimes than architecting this entire expensive strategy where you might not get this immediate or even ever ROI on it. And it's ultra competitive, as you know, and I think that, just looking forward a year or two even, I see the ads product just growing so much at Google in terms of what they're doing now with broad, with Performance Max, with interests and getting rid of cookies. We're in a world where it's much more of a black box, unfortunately.
Yeah, I want to shift into affiliate marketing because you as a publisher probably have some pretty unique insights into really how a D2C person should approach that. So like, tell me about your affiliate program, how you build it up and how you monitor its success or lack of success.
Yeah. So like in 2013, let's say, I started my site, which was tech focused, all mobile phones. So with me, like my peers, competitors were Engadget, Gizmodo, TechCrunch, sites like that. So Brian Lamb was the editor in chief of Gizmodo back then, and he had left and started Wirecutter. Wirecutter being, the Bible for long form product reviews, and he really did an incredible job with that business. So I see Brian doing his thing, and I'm like, look, man, I've always been very lean in terms of our business. We have, 8 people, and pound for pound, going up against competitors that where a traffic's pretty much the same and they have 75 employees, right? So for us, efficiency has been a huge thing. And I saw what Brian was doing, and I was like, look, just there's no way we're writing 20,000 words on a product review. Like we're not doing that. So we kind of went the opposite way, and we kind of carved out this niche to say, look, here's 2 paragraphs on the best deals online that we found today. So we got to be really short form with the content. We're able to pump out a lot of coverage every day, and was able to build authority in that area. And that encompassed consumer electronics and accessories and things endemically you would think about to what we cover. And that's all monetized on the affiliate side. So for us, Amazon being a huge partner, Walmart, Best Buy, CJ, a ton others. But looking at that strategy, it's a publisher going out and saying, look, we want to curate these products. We found these deals from brands that we love, that we know customers, readers have affinity for. Let's highlight them. And then at the same time, that then translates on the other side of brands and businesses that, look, we'd love our content to be featured. Can we partner? Can we carve out special incentives for you? Can we sponsor content? And that's kind of how that started, rolling up a bit.
From my perspective, I hate that. I go to like the best beard oils, and it's effectively all affiliate links. It's like, is there any kind of journalism left? And I understand, like, you got to pay the bills. Like you've got to put food on the table. Like, is that completely dead? Is it completely expected that if there's a listicle out there now, it's just all affiliate?
So I say there's 2 parts to that. The 2 parts are, does that type of content contain affiliate links? And I would say overwhelmingly yes. And then the second part is, are those really trusted products that this author or editor has reviewed in-house or has experience and knowledge about to be able to give you information? And I'd say, we take that very seriously. A lot of, big publishers do take that seriously. But you bring up a really awesome point, because that's another thing that Google now has to wade through, right? They're showing a lot of brands with authority that do this because Google has trust in those brands in terms of their, editorial integrity. They have staff and teams. So Google feels more comfortable showing that type of content versus, let's say, a niche site that's been around for 3 years. And maybe that person is questionably the authority on beard oils. But unfortunately, like, if they don't have a lot of the other authority signals and content and everything else to give them that authority, they might not get shown. So I think that's why we see that kind of misweighted content that you're talking about. But yeah, look, man, that is a huge area, and every single publisher I can think of has gone into the affiliate space and tried to take advantage of it.
What are the key metrics that they're looking for in performance for the products that they cover?
Yeah, I mean, key metrics is honestly just going to be revenue and sales. So, you're looking at conversion rates, you're looking at clicks to different partners, and you're trying to optimize based on that. But we don't do a lot of, we monitor overall performance, but we don't really go into a post just to optimize it for more revenue, if that makes sense, by changing the order of product. Like for us, like, we write something and we publish it. Are we going to refresh it if something happens? There's a new product we want to cover? Yes. But we don't really go back into the content once we publish it. Some other publishers definitely do. I think for us, it's more editorially, we've published something, we're happy with it. And we also just don't have the resources, honestly.
Yeah. So, like, as a brand, let's give like our brand some strategies. How are they going to bring the best awareness and through an affiliate program? Like, what is something that is incentive to a publisher in terms of like commission rate or price point? What kind of things are they looking for collaborating? Because I would assume a couple things. One, if everyone's selling on, if a brand doesn't sell on Amazon or Walmart or whatever, they have to be on some kind of like independent affiliate program. And it's not like you guys are going to join every single affiliate program out there, right? Like, you want to have some kind of efficiencies to that. And then, what is that point where it makes it worth the hassle?
Yeah, you want to be in some sort of affiliate large network if you're not a huge brand. I mean, even if you are a huge brand, you still want to be. So we're talking like CJ, like Rakuten, like one of those large ones that can serve as this intermediary between, let's say, publishers and content and brands. As far as offers, I think that's a hard one because one thing that we really consider, honestly, is we consider where our readers have affinity and where they shop, and also how things technically transfer in terms of cookies, in terms of payouts. So when we send somebody to Amazon, for instance, 50% or whatever percent of the population in the US has a Prime account, right? More people have a Prime account than have like a home phone number. So for Amazon, we're cookied when you go to Amazon and make a purchase. So if we're covering beard oil, you tap to Amazon, you're on Amazon, you close the tab, but say, I'm going to come back and buy this tomorrow. And 20 hours later, you go back to Amazon and you buy paper towels. We're still cookied on your cart. So we still make a commission from the paper towels that you purchased, not just the fact that we sent you there for beard oil. So for us, Amazon ends up being a much bigger partner in terms of where we want to focus because of that, because of the conversion and cookie window. I'd say it's hard if you're not on Amazon, but if you're not, like you're saying, incentives and offer needs to be really high. But that alone is probably not going to get you there. You still need to have some sort of outreach to a publisher directly to say, look, hey, this edit team, commerce team, I know you guys are focusing on the best, natural face products. I'd love you to include this. Here's the incentive. Here's the offer. And a lot of times that ends up being agencies or middlemen or some sort of facilitator. But it is very hard to pitch to be included, I think, in affiliate content. Whereas for us, a lot of it is we're doing that curation on our own, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I think like if a brand wants to make this, like I had a batch on, they sell cannabis stuff. So they can't do ads at all. It pretty much is all affiliate marketing. I think it's, what is it? One of those like WebMD or Honeywell or something like that. That's a big publisher of medical advice. So they were kind of talking about like structuring incentives and creating an environment that does make it worthwhile to talk about. Because let's be real, there's, in my space, there's 1,500 beard oil companies, and there's no way anyone can test all 1,500 and rank them. So there is, to a certain degree, is like, is this brand big enough? Is it established? Kind of like what you say with publishing. Have they been around long enough? Have they proven? And that filters out. There may be a great beard oil, but they don't have that established reputation in the space. So there's opportunity, I guess, working with publishers to do both like sponsored content and get into affiliate content. Is that something that is pretty common across most publishers?
Yeah, I'd say it's really common across publishers for both the affiliate and the sponsored side. But look, I mean, if you're a brand just starting out, or you're at a certain level of revenue, it might not even make the most sense to build that part of affiliate into your strategy. Like the way that I would look at it is honestly not on a publisher level and just go more the UGC route, go more on the social snowball, go work with creators, influencers, people making content that speak directly to your audience. To me, that's probably a better strategy, starting out at least, than maybe going to the publisher level. But look, if you want to have the social proof on your site and to show that you've been on Forbes and Allure and Cause, wherever, you're going to have some sort of either PR based outreach or affiliate kind of sponsored outreach. 100%.
What is the title of the person who they'd be working with at a publisher?
I honestly have no idea.
If you're going after an affiliate, like who runs your affiliate program? What is their title?
It'd be like VP of e-commerce, or maybe at a more junior role like an affiliate manager, something in the commerce realm. But yeah, like we honestly don't get, interestingly, a ton of incoming pitches for affiliate content deals. We get a lot of small ones, a lot of OEMs from China, a lot of consumer tech, like accessories. But yeah, we're not getting a ton of those incoming ones for stuff like this.
Do you think that is an opportunity?
BGR specifically, by the way.
Go ahead. What did you say? I missed you.
No, for BGR specifically.
BGR.
A lot of, So for us, consumer tech, consumer tech also is a much lower margin business. So if you're looking at affiliate rates across the board, and you say, look, a mattress might be 10 or 12%, and you're talking about a consumer electronics device or a cell phone might be 2%, right? And that's, or whatever that rate is, whatever the rate card is. So I think that's also part of it is like, that margin is just a little bit less.
Yeah. Does that shape like the categories of content you guys are going to branch out to, or?
I'd say for us, like what we've done is really just concentrate on our core content forever. So like started out being consumer electronics, really mobile phones, smartphones, gadgets. And then over time, like I started to realize, look, I like other things, right? Like why wouldn't an 18-year-old or a 25-year-old, mostly male audience want Marvel content or Netflix content or science content. And so like, yeah, like we've started to really branch out into some of those maybe adjacent categories, but we're still really focused on our core. And I think that brings up a really big point about organic and about search. And that is that if you're trying to do so many different things, this could be like any business. You could be a roofing company in, North Carolina that is doing 200 grand in revenue a year and has a tiny website, or you could be a, 9-figure D2C brand. But if you're trying to incorporate in your strategy things that don't directly relate to your core business, you're going to get hammered. You're going to get destroyed in search. And I think that's been a really important focus point for us. And like our North Star is like, look, we have authority in this space. There's no one else that can do what we're doing. Let's not dilute that by getting into a lot of other content categories. And that extends itself to affiliates. So, there was a time where we really got wide on what we covered. We were covering bed sheets and pillows and Instant Pots. And, Instant Pots, like fine, right? Tech, it's kind of home, it's lifestyle, like that kind of fits more. But we've really focused now on just our core. And that's been working really well for us. I would recommend that honestly to most, if not all businesses and brands online.
Yeah, it seems interesting, especially from your perspective of being in the space since 2006. That's nearly 20 years. You're going to have your audience like age out of your content, right? And constantly, like, has that been a challenge for you to stay focused on this core as you like age and as your interests do change, to not want to creep that content into what you're producing?
Yeah, I mean, I think the really cool thing that's kept me so engaged is that if everything was static, I don't think I'd be able to do this. I really don't. But it's a news cycle. So for us, news is the majority of our content, and there's always something new, right? There's always something fresh. There's always the next generation of device or product or service. And yeah, like seeing a lot of that landscape shift over, let's say that 20-year period almost, has been really fun. It's been really cool to jump on, I think, a lot of these exploding topics and categories. So that keeps it fresh. That I think is one of the main reasons why we can continue to really focus on the same type of coverage. It's that it's always replaced by newer, better, faster. And there is an audience that is growing up with that generation, I think, of the content that we're covering.
I want to circle back to the acquisition and around like the core values and the vision. How much is your setup kind of like you're on an island and you're able to run your own, business as you see fit? And how much of it is like you have to integrate, like the consolidator or Penske's vision into what you're producing?
For me, I had a really, really important, fork in the road. And it was 2009. And I had this opportunity to partner with PMC, or I had this opportunity to continue building the business on my own. It was just me at the time and a couple writers. So, going out and hiring, sales team, infrastructure and engineers and, really building my own business. And one of my biggest reservations was that, look, like I didn't need to sell this business. It's something I started. I loved doing it. I had so much fun. I had all the flexibility I wanted. I was printing money, happy in every way, right? So for me, that was one of the biggest things to consider is how much control do I have over this in the future? Are these going to be, good partners? Am I going to just be overloaded with corporate BS every day? Like, that's not what I want to do. So, for me, I think I wouldn't have, I was able to carve out, I think, a really great overall partnership that made me feel comfortable. We do utilize a ton of the resources corporately, which are fantastic, but we are on our own, island, a bit. And that's been, I think a real positive because it's also enabled us to be really nimble, to be able to still in like a startup mentality, test things, see if they work. And corporately, they're aligned too with that. It's just that, if it's a couple people, you can usually move a little faster than if it's 40 people or 200 people. And that's been a really big benefit. But no, overall, that was number one for me. It was like, I don't need to do this. I want to make sure that I have control. I want to make sure I'm happy and I'm able to push this forward the ways that I want to. Um, and I have nothing bad to say. They've been such incredible partners corporately. The CEO, Jay Penske, is an absolute visionary. I mean, I can't think of someone smarter or executing at a higher level, overall in the space. Really happy partner.
Sweet. Where can people follow you,
Yeah.
reach out to you, find more, support you, read your content?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. I'm Boy Genius. Instagram, I'm Jonathan. Fun story there. Kevin Systrom, founder of Instagram, was a big fan of my site. Reached out, was like, "Hey, dude, love you to like check out my new app and review it." Invited me before launch, so I was able to snag that username. And then you could also visit me at bgr.com too.
There you go. Jonathan, this has been a great episode. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Hopefully our listeners enjoyed it as much as I did. Thanks for listening. Cheers. Keep on growing.
Thanks for having me, man.